He's running. Go, go, go.
Here in this video, you can see what appears to be several Border Patrol agents in tactical gear.
A first-hand look at ICE raids ramping up across Los Angeles.
Well, yeah.
Then Thursday, ICE conducting what they call roving patrol consensual encounter apprehensions.
Taking several people into custody in the parking lot here near several street vendors.
This man, determined to be a U.S. citizen, while others whose immigration status is unclear, ran from ICE agents and were apprehended on the street.
There have been several in June at other Home Depot locations and businesses across Southern California.
Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing.
Yeah, God, thank you.
We witnessed 5 apprehensions Thursday and are waiting to learn if they had criminal records or not.
Who knew that if you deported thousands and thousands of criminal illegal aliens who have to live somewhere, that if you deport thousands of them, rents might go down? Let's get into it. Here we go. Love this title. LA rents suddenly plunge, leaving tenants cheering and rereading listings. Yay! Well, you want to be happy for people, but this is one of those direct cause and effect type deals. Hey, the illegals got to live somewhere. They're living in housing that you might normally live in, but they're getting it subsidized from your taxpayers' dollars, and you have to pay more in rent. But, folks don't seem to really get that, and they won't get that after this. But we're going to read about it anyway, because we know what the real deal is, right? For the first time in years, Los Angeles renters are refreshing listings. Is that true? And what I'm seeing is true? And seeing numbers move in their favor instead of creeping higher. Remember, demand and supply. They're important. Median asking prices in the region, Los Angeles region, LA County, have fallen to their lowest point in 4 years. Yay! This is not a shocker. This is literally just, what are the numbers doing? Well, there's fewer people. People are moving out of Los Angeles. You had the ICE raids. And I think the ICE raids have a massive, massive impact, not just on the people that are deported, but with family structure and that kind of thing, right? Because everybody knows in Los Angeles, you've got entire neighborhoods with folks that aren't necessarily legal and aren't necessarily, shall we say, some of the most responsible or law-abiding citizens that are out there. So, in turn, turning what long felt like a landlord city into something closer to a renter's market. Who knew? ICE goes out and deports a bunch of people, and your rent drops. Weird. That's just so strange, isn't it? Isn't that just crazy? The shift is modest but real, and it's colliding with new local rules that further limit how much many landlords can raise the rent. Well, they don't need to raise the rent right now because so many people are literally leaving California, leaving Los Angeles, and then sometimes leaving against their will because ICE deports them. Result is a rare moment of leverage for tenants who have spent the past decade bracing for hikes, not cuts. I am seeing a market where some Angelenos are not only cheering lower prices, but also double-checking that the drop is not a typo before they hit schedule a tour. Yeah, so strange. Yeah, you've got all these people scrounging for the same housing, and then all of a sudden, you take out a certain component of that supply, of that demand, and all of a sudden, voila, here we are. Isn't that strange? Isn't that just crazy? It's a wacky world we live in, right? I'm being completely facetious, if you can't tell. What makes this moment, this rent decrease, even more notable is that it's not just a blip in one data set. Multiple summaries now describe LA rent prices as having fallen to a 4-year low, signaling a meaningful shift in the city's housing market rather than a 1-month anomaly. So here we go. Here's our explanation. Vacancies. All right. Vacancies. Yeah, but that just means people left or there aren't enough people to rent or what have you. Population loss. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Just people voluntarily leaving? Yes, there's some of that, of course. But also involuntarily. And that's what I'm focusing on, right? Because that's what we think about a lot. is what if we enforce the borders this whole time? What if all cities enforce their borders? Would there be lower rent? Let's see. The criminal illegals got to live somewhere. And I'm just thinking out loud here. They've got to live somewhere. So even if they're not paying for said rent, that's not units, it's not housing that's available to everyday people that are already hardworking and tax-paying citizens. They don't get to rent that housing, and they certainly don't get the U.S. government to pay for it for them with said citizens' tax dollars. So if you take out that component of the demand and it frees up supply, yeah. Behind the headline numbers is a quiet demographic story. LA County's population shrank by about 28,000 people. Oh, relatively small share of the region, but enough to loosen a market that had been stretched tight. As residents left or doubled up, vacancy rates climbed to 5.3%. That is fairly significant. For LA, that is significant. I mean, those numbers used to be down near nothing. It's the highest level since 2021. So in a market as tight as LA, that kind of vacancy increase is enough to push landlords to cut asking rents or offer concessions because you got fewer people chasing the same pool of housing. And you got to remember, the people that are impacted the most are the ones that can afford the least. And that is all of the entry-level housing that the criminal illegal aliens have traditionally occupied, because they don't necessarily jump in and get a really good paying job, even though if they have federal work authorization, which many of them get, because that is how Biden just basically handed them into the country. And guys, go ahead. Just go ahead and do your thing. Get working. Drive that big rig. It should work out fine. We know how that one went, right? At the same time, region's multifamily housing supply has grown. Okay, so here's a component. Multifamily, there's more multifamily, and you've got less demand. Okay, so we're really tweaking things here. Analysts who track the metro said the county's apartment inventory has expanded to the point where many 1- and 2-bedroom units are now listed for a lot cheaper than they were at the peak, a trend highlighted in the same Angelenos focused analysis that pegs the median at 2167. Put together, population dip, higher vacancy, new supply, created a small but meaningful window where tenants can negotiate, walk away from bad deals, and in some cases, move into neighborhoods that were out of reach just a few years ago. Now, here's something interesting. Not every neighborhood is on sale, okay? So we've got the Pacific Palisades neighborhood is still seeing a huge increase. Well, that's because all of their homes, unfortunately, burned down as Mayor Karen Bass was in Ghana. I wish I was making this stuff up. And then Gavin Newsom was flitting about, trying to work out how he was going to distance himself from the absolute cluster that was the Los Angeles response to the Pacific Palisades fire. Yeah. And now Mayor Karen Bass is basically just getting in there, and she's changing out those reports to make the city of Los Angeles look less liable in the court of law because they are being sued 10 ways from Sunday. So that split captures the new reality. Some renters are suddenly fielding discounts while others are still chasing rising prices. So you've got data from San Fernando Valley show that those subregions that are going down, that's not happening there. So anywhere where you had more expensive rents or more upper end, you're going to have fewer people being deported, hence the supply. Yeah, that is, I mean, it's math, right? It's math. Policy guardrails, RSO caps, and new protections. You got a bunch of other stuff. The bottom line is that you've got a supply-demand issue. And as hard as Los Angeles has worked at absolutely decimating the ability for landlords to actually control and do what they want with their own asset in America, despite all of that, you got a situation where a large enough swath of the population is either involuntarily left or they're being booted, and you're having an impact. You've got just enough of those people have left where you've got an impact on top of you've got some multifamily that is, I talk about the inelasticity of real estate, meaning your demand rarely meets up to supply, because by the time you go to develop land, to permit the construction of said housing, get it up, get it built, get it sold to meet the demand for the community, oftentimes an entire cycle has gone by, real estate cycle has gone by, and then all of a sudden, all that demand from all those new jobs coming in, they worked it out and they went somewhere else, or they, living in adjoining communities that had a little bit more housing. The amount of time it takes to develop not only a plat, but then build it out is such that oftentimes when all these plans for all this new housing comes, the demand isn't there. And so that's exactly what's happening right now is people are like, well, there's a lot of people in Los Angeles, therefore let's go ahead and permit thousands and thousands of, multifamily housing units. And they did. And now they're building them. And now they're coming to fruition. They're coming to market. And, we're looking around, not as many folks out there. Interesting. Drop those rental prices. So that's what you've got going on. So is this all because of ICE deporting criminal illegals? No. Is it a critical part? Yes. Is it a much more critical part than you will hear from mainstream media? Absolutely. Because they're not going to say much at all. They're going to go, shh. We'll just hope that the stupid people out there living in these Democrat-run communities won't understand that they are competing with the exact same people that they're protecting from ICE raids. Whole thing makes no sense at all, does it? No sense at all. Because Democrats hope that their constituents are stupid. That is literally what they rely upon. You guys can all just coexist in the same community. Yeah, but they're taking my rental unit housing. They're taking my housing. Oh, no, they're not. No, they're not. Yeah, they are. And I'm paying for it. Government proceeds of my tax money. Oh, no. And that's 100%. 100%. But mainstream media isn't going to go down that road. They're going to go with the, we've got oversupply of new construction inventory, and also just people are leaving Los Angeles. I mean, right there. Why are people leaving Los Angeles? Why are people not flocking to the California dream? Well, because it's kind of turned into the California nightmare. But you know what? In 2028, I think you should vote for Gavin Newsom because he's done such a stellar job within the state of California. You should vote for him for president of the United States of America. You know what else is funny? Over this past weekend, after the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, I don't really care about sports, but yeah, go Hawks. All right. I saw a news article and it was pretty funny, and it was Kamala Harris is going to run with AOC as her sidekick. Oh, this is just getting better and better. I can't wait. That means that Gavin Newsom is not going to have either Kamala or AOC run as his vice president. What do you think? I think Gavin Newsom runs with this little gem from Dallas, the south side of Dallas, Jasmine Crockett. Gavin Newsom and Jasmine Crockett. What could go wrong? And then you got AOC along with Kamala Harris. 107 days, Kamala Harris. Oh, all good stuff. All right. That's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.